Rightio. So, if we are indeed live, that would be absolutely fantastic.
I'm
Uh,
hopeful. Fingers
uh,
crossed.
so perhaps we are. If we are, then
We're
that's great.
live.
So what's up, everyone? So Marco and Adam here from the Convo. Piotr is absent, but today we're going to talk about something super important, which is obviously the bananas in what's his face? The bananas in the National Museum thing, and yeah, basically we're just gonna talk about something that I think is important right now. And Marco, do you think those kind of did you see the images?
Ye-
It's the woman eating a banana.
Yes, and
So do you
yeah.
think that such things belong into a national museum essentially?
Yeah, I think it was not inappropriate or obscene, those images. Um, I think it's also going to talk about like what shouldn't be included, what should be included. I think that's also a slippery slope to start listing things and making rules or exceptions to that. I think it's up to the, curators of the museum, up to the visitors of the museum, what kind of content they want to see.
I mean, so you do agree, basically.
I don't agree with the censorship.
So you agree that the paintings should be in the
Yes,
museum.
yes.
I personally don't think they should be in the museum because, well, first of all, it's a national museum,
Mm-hmm.
right? So basically, um, it has nothing. It doesn't have anything to do with the context of the theme of the museum. I believe it should be in like modern arts museum, right?
Okay.
And second of all, it's its overall message, which is kind of provocative. It's kind of, I mean, we know what the message is there, right?
Yeah.
We know that the photographs are not of a woman eating a banana. It's especially designed to look like as if, well, she's engaging in some erotic activity. So,
But do you really think that if children see that image, that they're gonna become um, affected by that image, and then I guess be what they're kind of worried about, like that they're gonna ruin children, that's gonna create uh, this child that's gonna become obscene.
well,
And
it's
I
not
mean,
about that. I
so
think
what?
like here's the thing. Already there were complaints about like when schools visited,
Mm-hmm.
there were already complaints that the children were being, asking weird questions, and that the children were like disorientated in the museum. They're not focused on the overall message or whatever.
Yeah, but it's children.
Yeah, okay, and that's fine. But the thing is now the adults and the teachers
Yeah.
were complaining that this was happening. Here's what I would have done differently. The artist clearly wanted to be clever, and with that simply eating a fruit, of that message of simply eating a fruit,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to convey that message of all gender and like all that, of those acceptance and all of that stuff, and kind of profanity in a way. Well, I mean, just erotic activity.
So yeah, enable.
So here's what I would have done to appease the public. Appease the public of it existing, because we had the banana protests outside the museum, where people were just eating bananas in also a disgusting way, because they were like, rubbing their faces in them and stuff, whatever. So here's what I would have done. I would have, if I was those artists, I would have done a series of all different kinds of fruits, like with strawberries, like with an apple, with an orange, and then sneak in that banana one as a part, you know?
Well, okay, like I'm not gonna tell an artist how to do their or
No,
present
no.
their artwork, but I think it's if children are asking about it, if children are concerned about it, then you, as a teacher, as a parent, as an adult, should be able to articulate to that child what this is, what I mean, it's just artwork. You don't have to really take it. You can kind of take it any way you want to take it. It's what artwork is. It's up for you to debate about it. I mean, it's creating conversation, obviously. So obviously, the artist effectively demonstrated probably what they wanted. They wanted to create a conversation. They wanted to create a controversy. That's part of artwork.
Well, I think the museum, the heads of the museum, first removing the art, saying it's not fit, and then putting it back into the museum. I think they did.
They did.
They put it back. And I'm going to take off my glasses to point at you because that's how significant this is. I think they had a major victory because what is everybody going to do now? They're going to rush into the museum.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's basically a great publicity stunt. It's kind of like this tactic that you open up a restaurant and you say, no, only 2 people can come in. And everybody's going to line up to be those 2 people, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And essentially you're going to be like, okay, fine, we can let in 3 people. And more people are going to come in because there's a certain limitation. And this is the same logic here, that first you remove it and then you put it back in. And that's going to be the main reason why people come back to see it. But at the end of the day, there's more people coming into the museum.
Yeah, okay. Good for them, I guess. So that's their marketing technique. But I also think, like, going back to obscenities, is like, isn't the antiquities going to ancient Greece or Rome saying naked statues? Is that also should be removed?
Well, I wouldn't say, like, well, that's an interesting question, but there's a difference between Greek and Roman statues that are created out of marble that take, weeks, months to create, years probably, even like the statue of David by Michelangelo. That's Italian. You should know something about that because you're Italian. But and then there's the reason of also they were not profane. There was just like exposure of a breast or like a penis or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But this is clearly like taking a photo that is created to provoke. Of course, there's that message of, oh, it's just a woman eating a banana that like the artist can cover themselves with, but they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly how this looks like. They know that the peeling, the putting it in your mouth in this such a way, and also the girl itself, she's kind of innocent, and it's like you're trying to cover this thing up with just artism, with basically artism and with just a fruit and a lady eating a banana, and it's natural. But we know what you're doing. You know this is going to be the reaction, and planning your already a defense in a way like, oh, it's just a woman eating a banana, just kind of highlights that you had no intention of this just being a woman eating a banana. No. You wanted this kind of reaction.
Obviously, and I think for me, how I see the image is that for me, it's funny. It's like, okay, you're being playful with a banana, but it's also, I think we're discussing, it starts a conversation about like not orientation, but sexuality. And is that, and I think that's a good thing about the artwork, is that it makes you maybe uncomfortable, or it makes you like, let's have a conversation about, is this appropriate for artwork to be showing this?
Well, but here's the thing: National Museum, like, there are things that are related to World War II, or the history of Poland, and stuff like that. And what I think is that when you have art like this, when people come to a place like the National Museum to look at Polish historic arts and just learn about its history, mm-hmm. and then you have these kind of photos with a woman eating a banana, it's just out of place.
But it's not a history museum. It's a museum.
No, it's a national museum.
Yeah, okay, but it can have any.
But why doesn't that
realm of Polish history?
Why doesn't that kind of art belong why can't it be in simply a modern arts museum? I've been to tons of modern arts museum around Poland, and you know what the most common thing in a modern arts museum, at least what I've noticed, is nudity, profanity, perversion. So I'm sorry, but there's clearly like a pattern here that artists seem to be just obsessed with nudity, and in a kind of like a nudity and profanity, and kind of force it down our throats, like pun intended in this case, but I just don't understand okay, so if art is basically profanity and nudity, why not just call it profanity and nudity? Why are we giving it why are we gracing it with the terminology of something referring to in the basilica or whatever, like all those beautiful types of arts? Why are we putting it in the same basket? I don't think it belongs in the same basket.
It's artwork.
Well, anything. Okay, well, what is artwork? Define art then, because to me, art nowadays, my definition. I'm gonna let you say what your definition is, but my opinion, art has become, ironically, art is anything you want, anything that you think is art is art.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that.
then what is art to you?
Okay, so me holding this microphone like this, for example.
And me taking a photo of that.
Yeah, is this art? Or is it, like, it has no message.
Okay.
I think art is, I think also another definition that I have multiple definitions for things about
So
life.
striking a pose and taking a photo of that is not artwork to you.
No,
What is it? Like, it's just photo.
it's just capturing a nanosecond of reality.
Then I think that's artwork.
How is it artwork?
Because you're capturing a
Okay,
event,
then,
an image.
then anything is artwork, basically.
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Not anything, I guess, but.
Well,
guess
you just
something-
said that.
Okay, but
you
something.
take a picture of me, like
yeah,
holding-
okay, that's art. Like something put onto. That's expressed. Something that is. I don't know how to find out. I mean, I think it could be anything really. Yeah,
Well,
it almost is.
Here's what I think.
anything.
I think also artwork is dictated not by the artist but by the society. If society chooses something to be art, like art worthy, then it's art in their opinion.
I kind of
That's
agree with
what I
that,
think.
but I think it's also that just because maybe someone not society doesn't always accept it, also think there is a place for art to be in kind of the like where this image is. It's
I mean,
clearly on the verges of on artwork where a lot of society is not okay with it, but some of
No, but
society
here's
is.
the thing. If it was in like a, I don't think the controversy is of the artwork itself. I think it's artwork. Pictures of a woman eating a banana. I think that's artwork because it's taken in black and white. It's clearly made to have be a pattern of images. It's a
There's
collage
a few
of images.
yeah.
But my problem is basically that the location in which it is. What's the point? And why is that so necessary for people to have it in the National Museum? Why can't it just be in a, Museum of Fine Arts or Museum of Modern Arts or just any other, or photography? Why does it have to be? It's like, okay, it's just like putting this kind of art into, for example, the Jewish Museum in Warsaw. Let's say, for example, because a Jewish person made those photos. Would it belong in there? I don't think so, because it's all about context.
Yeah, but it's someone Polish artist who did it. But okay, like sure, if it doesn't.
Like it doesn't bother me. It's just annoying to me how so many
I don't
people are
think
saying, "Oh, how could they censor this kind of stuff?" And I'm like, well, why not take a step back to look at the entire picture and maybe not the physical picture, but the entire picture of the situation? Why not just say, does it belong in there?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the appropriate context? Like you wouldn't put a tank in a modern arts museum, like a World War II tank. You wouldn't put it in there.
But there are tanks outside of the museum.
No, in the national museum there are tanks lined up. But
Yeah.
I'm saying in this like let's reverse it a bit. Would we put a outfit of a soldier, just an outfit of a soldier with like a gun and a bayonet, nothing modified, just the outfit on a stand would it fit in a modern arts museum? I wouldn't think so. So, what do you think about that? We're still good.
I think it can be. I think you can have like fashion. You can have various photography to paintings that you think belong to, for instance, a national museum, belong to Poles, created by Poles, and should be showcased in Poland.
Yeah, but it's all about the context. That's my big. I don't even have a
So
problem with that.
So only things that like happen, say, that are say 50 years old belong in the
No, things that I'm not.
paintings.
This is
only
not a
paintings?
history museum.
Only statues.
No, I'm not saying
Only things that depicting
only
Polish
things
history?
yes, only things that relate to only things that are appropriate for a national museum. You wouldn't have, for example, okay.
That's too vague to me.
No, well,
it is a national.
you wouldn't
museum.
have a picture. This is just for the purpose of this argument. You wouldn't have, for example, a picture of Jesus or the Pope in a synagogue or in a mosque. You wouldn't have that because it just does not fit in there.
I think you could.
Well, if you want to be like a alternative or if you want to be a progressive one, but in a traditional one like the National Museum is, you wouldn't.
I think you.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
That's all I'm
I
saying.
disagree. I don't. I think you kind of you shouldn't limit yourself. You shouldn't limit what goes into a national museum. It should,
Well, okay then let's drop the name. Let's just
Why?
call it museum.
no, it's,
Well, see, but
it's depicting.
you're constant. I'm not saying yours, but a lot of people have this constant desire of just destroying certain rules that are already set.
What rules was set? What?
Okay, well, it's in the name. You wouldn't have a Girl Scout joining the Boy Scouts.
But it's just pretty much National Museum. It just means it's sponsored by the state. So what?
And talks own.
Talks
of course.
about it, and it should be about Polish artists.
Well,
and Polish works of art.
Yeah, but it's all about the context. All I'm saying is all about the context.
I don't see what context it's affecting.
Well, I just gave you the example of like having a picture of the Pope in a synagogue.
But a Polish painter painted it.
Yeah, so.
I'm okay with it being National Museum.
But here's the thing. So a lot of the tanks in the National Museum are not created by Polish people. They were created by like Soviets and Germans.
But
why do they belong in there?
But
they're parts of Polish history and parts of Polish culture, and that's all I'm saying.
Yes.
This is not exactly.
So this artist's work is not part of Polish culture.
This precise work is not the exact representation of the national approach, I would say.
See, I think it is a work.
It's all about identity.
But this is Polish identity. This is Polish artist.
Okay,
this is
here's
Polish
the thing.
Culture. This artist is part of Poland.
No, of course, but all I'm saying, why not go to a modern arts museum? Here's what I think as a conclusive statement for this topic, in my opinion. If I would go there, I would feel confused as to why it's there because I do not feel any connection with it. Right?
Okay.
And I would feel more connection with like a picture of, I don't know, of the Solidarność movement, for example. Because, this is part of my history. I feel the direct effects of it. I live in this. These are the people and stuff like that. With this, I would be confused, and I would not exactly understand. I would not exactly understand why it is in the National Museum. Someone would have to explain it to me.
Okay.
That's what I think.
I think that since it's not a history museum, you're allowed to have works of art that are modern works, and thus you can have that are primarily of Polish.
Well,
art.
then what's the point of modern art museums?
You can have it too there. Like,
then
why limit yourself at the National Museum? What you show?
Well, then why would you label museums?
Just
in the Natural History Museum in New York, is it? You wouldn't exactly have, I don't know, pictures of that sort.
I think you could. I think you would. And I think, but there's an exhibit of last time I went, there was an exhibit of clothing, of like a fashion, and it was in there with the same as like the Byzantine sculptures, Byzantine religious objects that they've had there. Same room.
Okay.
And yet there's artworks of fashion.
My question to you, as a wrapping this whole thing up, is why are we calling them apartments if they're stuck together? I'm serious.
So instead of a flat, because what's it, like British English is what's more flats.
Yeah, but why are we
And
calling them
American
apartments? They're like right next to each other.
It's a part of a building.
No, but they're a part of. That should be a part. Like they're a part.
A part.
No, it's not a part. As in like a part of a building.
Yes.
Because okay, then why isn't the roof called an apartment?
Why
isn't the basement called?
It's called a basement.
I got you there. Okay, well that's our hard question for this time. I hope you guys enjoyed the convo. Today was a bit short, but we had some technical difficulties which I managed to solve, so it's fine. And Marco helped me a bit. So next week we're gonna see you guys. Right now we're gonna be on break, so perhaps we're gonna see you next week.
Have a nice Easter. No, sorry.
We hope you had a nice Easter. And hope you had a nice Passover or whatever holiday or just break you had. And also, we would like to wish you a very nice break. And, the convo says
90 years of independence? No. How long?
Marco doesn't know how long Poland was independent. Okay, it doesn't matter now.